I think beauty is when someone finds the best things about themselves that they admire. And it doesn't mean that they have to change. It just means they have to accentuate those things that they love.
Welcome to the Beauty Talk podcast, where we feature how the best medical practitioners help their patients to look better, younger, and healthier. Now, enjoy the show, and here's your host.
Daniel Gao here. I'm the host of Beauty Talk. We feature the top practitioners in health and beauty, both inside and out. I have Alex Oliver, the founder and owner of True Derm MedSpa in Colorado, where she combines regenerative aesthetics, advanced skincare, and a passion for education to help people feel like the best version of themselves. Equal parts science nerd and artist, she loves making complex treatments approachable while delivering natural-looking results. Outside of work, she's a wife, mom of two, entrepreneur, weightlifter, fantasy reader, and firm believer that the best transformations happen when personal growth, spiritual growth, and confidence all grow together. So, Alex, welcome and glad to have you here.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, so let's start from the very beginning, Alex. What first got you interested in the medical field?
I started out, I didn't know what I wanted to do after high school, and my dad pulled me aside one day and was like, "You have to figure it out." And so I decided to go to school to do like special effects, and that snowballed into I'm just going to take a whole osteology science course because it's going to look better on a resume. And then I fell in love with skin, surprisingly. And now makeup is like the furthest thing that I do. And I started out doing a lot of like the fluffier things like waxing and facials, and then I just kind of fell in love over time with the medical side of things. And now I don't do any fluffy stuff anymore, so it's kind of funny.
Okay. And so you started your practice, True Derm MedSpa. What was that journey like? Like, why did you decide to start your own business?
I decided to start. I was supposed to be getting a promotion with a spa that I was on at the time, and they were just kind of dragging their feet with it, making promises that weren't being kept.
Mm.
And I knew I could do so much more that I was not able to do at that job. And I told my husband one day that I kind of wanted to just pull the trigger and open up my own place. And honestly, I don't think I would have done it if he wasn't on board because it was already so scary with finances and I didn't know like how it was going to go. And luckily for all of us, he was on board, and I decided it was like 5.5 years ago now that I decided to go out on my own, and it just kind of flourished in the best ways.
Wow. Okay. So now that you have this practice, I want to talk about some of the common treatments that your clients come to you for. Let's start off with the corrective lip filler. I think with lip filler, people think of it more as, okay, just kind of maybe plumping up the lips, but specifically it's corrective. So what's the corrective part that ties into this?
I love doing things that are, I don't like the word fixing, but like adjusting asymmetries that people don't love when they look in the mirror. There's a lot of people that I treat who they have like little lumps and bumps somewhere, either from like previous filler or it's just something that they were born with. Some people have like a larger lip in the middle on the top and then very skinny on the outer edges. So we can kind of correct that into something that still looks natural for them, but it's more of a shape that they're looking for. Or like M-shaped lips specifically, they have like the lumps and the ridges in there that are a lot of injectors find it difficult to treat because you can still plump that lip up, but without changing the shape, you still are left with an M-shaped lip, which isn't like the aesthetic lip to have, I guess, these days. So many people don't really want it to look like that.
Mhm. Okay. And when you're working on the lips, are you using the filler that kind of most people who know a little bit about aesthetics use, or are there different things that you can use when working on the lips?
So the product itself is usually going to be pretty similar. There's a lot of different brands, but they're all going to just be hyaluronic acid, usually lidocaine, and then ingredients that are going to help it to stay good in the tube.
Mhm.
But otherwise, it's really all about the technique. There's a lot of different techniques that you can do to achieve different things. So I never will do the same technique on one client as another client because people just don't always want the same thing or need the same thing.
Okay. And for people who have never gone into the aesthetic world, even as a consumer, I think most people have heard of things like Botox and filler. So, what's really the two differences between these two types of products?
Yeah, so Botox is going to be something that goes right into the muscle of the face. And it helps to essentially immobilize the muscle at least a little bit to where you're not able to use that range of motion with the certain area. So for your forehead specifically, if you're able to push your eyebrows up all the way and you have all these lines, you can go in with the Botox and kind of immobilize that so that your brows will still move, but you don't get the lines anymore. So that
Mm,
will make you look a little bit more youthful.
mm,
But filler in particular is going to be more of like volumizing and plumping. So not something that you want to inject in the forehead by any means. We don't want like puffy giant foreheads.
mhm.
But definitely good for other areas of the face, like lips, cheeks, chin, even nose. Um, so yeah.
Okay. And now moving on to a different type of treatment is the ZERF.
Mhm.
What is ZERF?
Surf is so cool. It's this really fun technology that came from Korea. It just got FDA cleared to be here in the last like 6 months or so. And it's essentially radio frequency. It's monopolar, which means that you have like a grounding pad on your back. And then usually when it's bipolar, it kind of has like a negative and a positive side to it. And it just kind of makes this little rainbow into the skin. So it doesn't go down very deep, but when it's monopolar, it can hit all the way down those deep, deep layers. So it's very lifting, firming, tightening. It's incredible for things like saggy necks and like the jowl area to just pull all of that up. Um, I even get great before and afters with just right before the treatment to right after the treatment the same day.
Okay. And is it a laser or what type of machine is it?
It looks like a laser. So if you were to picture a laser like a 3 foot tall machine with the big hand piece that's going, beep, beep, beep kind of a thing. It looks like a laser, but it's technically radio frequency, which is just a different type of energy.
Mhm. Okay. And is it pretty applicable to any parts of the body, or is because I know some is like better for the face, some's better for like the abdomen, some's better for the arms. Like, what is the best spot on the body for this treatment?
Honestly, anywhere. The best spot is going to depend on where the client feels like they need it most. I would say the face is the most requested for sure. But you can definitely do it. Like the abdomen is a really big one, or above the knees is also a big one. They're coming out with a new tip soon to do things for like sexual health to kind of tighten things down there.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of different options that come with that. It's just really anywhere where you feel like you've got lax skin that needs firming.
Okay. And I'm sure you get this question all the time. Is it painful?
It's actually not. It's
Oh.
really comfortable. It feels like if you were to lay out in the sun and feel the
Mhm.
warmth and the heat, you can feel the heat, but because of the way that it's created, the tip is kind of what they call like a spider tip. So instead of it just being like heat all across the entire tip, it's got this little like spider web type of thing so that it delivers it in a way that's so much more comfortable and safe for the client, and it has different levels of cryogen that will come out with every single pulse. So that compared with the gel that's on the face, that's also cool. The skin on the top layer actually receives almost no heat, and it delivers it deeper, and it almost skips the top layer, which is amazing because you don't leave pink or red or anything, and it's honestly really comfortable. And you don't leave with any discomfort, and there's really not a whole lot of like aftercare that you have to do. Like if you
Mhm.
wanted to go to the pool the day after, you totally could. Obviously, sunscreen, wear a hat as always, but there's nothing different that you have to do after you get the treatment done.
Okay. And when it comes to number of treatments, like I'm sure this is always going to depend like on the face or on the body or wherever else, but I guess how many treatments does can people expect on average before they can start seeing results?
On average, before they see results is usually one, but you don't usually want to stop at one. People kind of get hooked and addicted after that
Mhm.
first one, and then they're like, okay, I still have a little bit more to go. So I
Mhm.
would say two or three is ideal for sure, depending on the client.
Mhm.
And then usually you want to maintain once or twice a year.
Okay. And in those first 2 to 3 sessions, how much time are you putting in between each session?
4 weeks. Yeah, 4 weeks is ideal. If someone's really on a time crunch, like they're getting married or something and they just don't have that much time, you can do like 3.
Mm,
But you have to make sure that it's spaced apart from other things like your Botox or microneedling and stuff like that too.
okay. Now, part of what you also do is regenerative medicine or regenerative treatments. Could you talk a little bit more about that? Like what goes into that? What makes something regenerative? How is it different from your traditional aesthetic treatments that people would normally associate with?
Yeah, so regenerative is something more so that's going to give you like a long-term result. Something like dermaplaning, chemical peels, especially the lighter ones, they're going to give you a really nice exfoliation up front. Maybe a little bit of a glow. They'll be a little bit more brightening for you. But after that initial treatment, it just kind of slowly fades over the next week or two. But something regenerative is going to continue to build your collagen and elastin for 8, 9 months. So, Zerf is one of them. Any kind of microneedling, whether it's regular vampire facial, mermaid facial, all of that is going to build collagen for multiple months. Anything to do with plasma, so PRP injections, PRF injections, Easy Gel, all of that is also going to build collagen for a really long period of time. So that is what would be considered regenerative.
Okay. And is regenerative also considered to be a natural treatment or not necessarily? It's more just the kind of getting the regeneration over time.
I would say it's honestly, all of the regenerative treatments that I personally do are very natural. It's
Mm.
kind of using your own body to build its own collagen. It's not like Botox, for instance, would not be considered regenerative. It is preventative care, and people love the results from it, but it's not going to do anything for you in the long run, if that makes sense. It's not going to build you any collagen or elastin. It's not going to tighten or firm anything. It's just kind of immobilizing muscles so that you don't create those lines in the skin um, up front. But once you already have them, you do need correcting at that point.
Got it. Okay. Now, when it comes to the treatments you provide, the ones we talked about, and also other treatments, I'm sure you get a lot of myths or misconceptions you hear from clients. What would you say some of the most common myths or misconceptions that you hear?
Um, Gosh, that's a good one. You hear it all the time with basic things like dermaplaning, where it makes the hair come back thicker or darker, which just isn't the case. You can't change someone's DNA by taking a razor to your skin. So that one I get a lot. And then microneedling, I think there's a lot of misconceptions around microneedling just based on the education for it in school is honestly not great. Um, you have to almost commit to yourself to do advanced training in this industry because the basic just doesn't get you very far. So a lot of people think that the deeper you go in microneedling, the better the results are going to be. And honestly, that's not the case at all. Wrinkles usually lie like zero point 0.5 millimeters deep in the skin. Pigment usually lies around 1 millimeter deep in the skin. So if you're going like 3 millimeters deep in someone's skin who they don't have, deep pitted scarring or any like scars or texture that needs to be treated, then you're just essentially adding all of this additional inflammation, which in turn is actually going to make their healing process a lot harder. And then it's going to age them faster in the future because we don't really want inflammation in the skin. We want just enough to create the change that we're looking for, but not too much to where it's going to hurt us later on.
Okay. And what would you say, like, let's say someone is looking to get some type of aesthetic treatment done, but they've never been to a med spa before, never done any of these treatments before. What advice would you give to this person as they're doing their search that they can find somebody who's knowledgeable, has experience, and can get them the end result they're looking for?
Oh, that's a good question. Because I feel like you almost need to partner with somebody who knows what they're doing to get great results. Because something like microneedling is great for anybody. It doesn't matter what type of skin you have, what your goals are. Everyone is going to benefit from microneedling. but they're not going to benefit if they go to the wrong person. So I would almost say your education should go more into who should I be trusting with my skin? Because if you get something done wrong, it's going to end up hurting you, worse than when you started the treatments.
Hmm. Okay. And when it comes to the educational component, like how do you approach educating your clients on the benefits of these treatments? I'm sure you get some people who are they're gone through this before, like they're very knowledgeable about it. I'm sure you also get a lot of new people as well who don't know much about it. So how do you approach education, particularly for those new people who maybe have a little bit of not skepticism, but maybe a little bit of fear of like, oh, I'm not quite sure what to expect.
I try and just be as honest as possible with all of my clients, almost blunt to a fault, to where there are a lot of times I end up talking people out of something that they thought they wanted because I don't think they're going to be happy with the end result. And sometimes I push them in a different direction, and sometimes I just kind of tell them, I don't think this is I really don't think this is what you're going to want to do. Um, I would just say I'm honest and I am just as authentic as possible with all of my clients. And I think that builds a level of trust because I would rather have someone be happy at the end of the day and to come back to see me long term so that I can build relationships with people than make, a few quick dollars and just take their money for something that I know they're not actually going to like and then have them not like it and never see them again. So I
Mm.
try and just educate as much as possible with the pros. I'm honest about the cons. And then ultimately I let them make their own decision.
Okay. And what role do you believe creativity plays in how you approach patient care? Like, because I think when most people think about medicine, creativity is probably not the first word that comes to their mind. But what role do you believe creativity plays?
I think it's important for things like filler in particular. You almost have to have an eye for that, as well as like permanent makeup. That's something that you also need to have an eye for. People will come in with certain colors, or for brows, for instance, you have to be able to color match that really, really well. And a lot of the times I'll kind of mix a color together, and the client's like, I don't know if that's going to heal into the color that we need it to be. And, I'm like, you'll just have to trust me on this one. And it always comes out perfect. And they're like, wow, you had an eye for that. But, I don't know. I think you definitely need to be creative in some aspects, especially like with lip filler, because if you just did the same thing on every client, they're not going to end up most of the time with the result that they want because you have to go into it knowing that, okay, because you have this kind of lip, we have to actually do something like this to get that same result that they're looking for that maybe someone else got by doing a different technique just because the lips are different.
Okay. And where do you think the future of aesthetics is going?
That's also a good question. I think there's a lot of things that are moving out the door. Things like chemical peels, I think, are going to start to kind of go. I think hydrofacials are going to start to go. I think there's just a lot more out there that we're discovering works a lot better. I think a lot of the really aggressive treatments, like the CO2 lasers, I don't think those are going to be popular too much longer because we're starting to come up with things like ZERF, for instance, that is no pain, no downtime, great results. And you don't have to create all of this inflammation to get good results in the skin. And I think that's kind of where it's going to end up going.
Okay. And with the future in mind, what is the vision you have for your practice?
I, at some point, would like to hire again. I did hire a couple years back, and it didn't quite end up working out too well for us. But I would love to hire at some point and delegate a little bit more. It's tough because my all of my clients are used to seeing me, and so I hired somebody on because I got busy enough to, but no one wanted to try her out. So I have to figure out um how to finagle that when it's just been me the whole time because I have a really good relationship with all of my clients and they come in and we get to talk about what's been going on in our lives and I ask how their vacation went and there's a level of like a personal connection that I have with everybody who comes in. So it's tough as a client to give something like that up to try someone new. But ideally I would love at some point to expand. So we'll have to get over that hurdle at some point.
Got it. Okay. Well, Alex, I do have one last question for you, but before I ask it, I do want to point people to your website at tdmspa.com. Now, last question for you. What does beauty mean to you?
I think beauty is when someone finds the best things about themselves that they admire. And it doesn't mean that they have to change. It just means they have to accentuate those things that they love. Um, I think that's the best way to do it is to not completely change everything about somebody, but to just accentuate those things that they love and maybe adjust a couple of the things that they don't love, but to still make them look like them.
Very well said. Well, there you have it, Alex sharing her expertise. So, Alex, if people want to learn more, where can they contact you in your practice?
Text is honestly so great for me. I'm at 720-803-7775. Or you can go through my website, book a consultation. You can email as well. That's all on there. But I respond to texts the easiest because I'm usually with clients. So phone calls, I kind of have to get back to at the end of the day. But a quick text or so I can send in between people.
Awesome. Well, Alex, this is great. Thank you for coming on and thank you for sharing your message.
Perfect. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for listening to the Beauty Talk podcast. Any questions, please contact the practice directly with the contact information provided during the show. We'll see you again next time. Bye for now.